That's why every Saturday from 5 until 6, it's The Right Mind Show.
Boy, I feel giddy.
I bet you do. That's because we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
I want to sing.
Not now.
I'm full of joy.
Yeah, well, we're full of something, Joey.
It's The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Has the dust settled on the establishment versus the Freedom Caucus kerfuffle? Absolutely not. On Friday, we're explaining why this is catching national attention.
Mornings starting at 5:30.
On News Talk STL.
You're listening to the Dan Bongino Show. Dan, 24/7 at Bongino.com.
Hey, thanks for all the kind words on Facebook. As you can see, if you're watching on Locals right now, that I'm reading your comments. Everybody's so nice. I'm glad you guys love the show. That's really sweet. I appreciate that. I don't want you to think that ever goes over my head. And as always, if you missed any of it, please check out the podcast. Go give us a follow at rumble.com/Bongino. That's the website, or you can just download the Rumble app, go to Dan Bongino Show, click follow. It is absolutely free. We would love to have you on the podcast every day at 11 a.m. live, or you can always watch it, what we call VOD, video on demand, anytime during the day. Just click play. We'd love to have you, and we love having you on this radio show. We so appreciate it. Hey, if you listen to me talking about health and nutrition all the time, you probably heard it. You know I'm obsessed with the idea. And it's all about good habits. And producer Jim decided a while ago that it was time for him to lose some weight and make some life changes. He looks amazing. So, Jim, you decided to go with PhD weight loss. Why them?
Well, because I needed somebody who was going to be like a coach to me. And I got something like that. It's a nutritionist who really cares about me succeeding, like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. They want that weight to fall. They need that weight to fall.
Wow.
That's why they developed a plan just for me. And that's what they'll do for you, too. I'm down 11 pounds already this year. And when you hit your goal, maintenance is free for the rest of your life. Get all the details at myphdweightloss.com and make the call.
Oh, Jim's getting into some improv there. Pretty good. Hey, Dr. Lucas and your personal coach, they'll walk you through it. Go to myphdweightloss.com like Jim did. Read the reviews, man. Look at the pictures yourself and the videos. You don't need to take my word for it. Just go check them out. They're helping Jim. He looks great. They can help you, too. It's myphdweightloss.com for details. Make that call. Weight loss results vary per individual. Consult with a medical professional.
Dan Bongino.
All right, Doug, I got 30 seconds for you. What do you got for us today, buddy?
Two questions. Number one, why isn't this guy that found the bomb a national hero? He just saved Kamala Harris's life, didn't he?
Wait, time out. Don't hang up, Doug. That is awesome point. That is a great, he should be, okay, point two. You got 15 more seconds because you're so good. I want to hear your second point.
Number two, what was the timing between the discovery of the bomb and Mike Pence putting the kibosh on the Electoral College?
This is why we got the best callers in the biz. Doug should have been an FBI agent himself. That is, what a great call, Mike. Put him on our people we love list. It's the opposite of the people to kill list. Remember that? You ever see Billy Madison? We love this guy. That's a great question. The guy saved Kamala Harris, saved the life, saved the assassination plot, January 6th. This guy should be, statue should be built.
Question, do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. 6 nuns and 2 other people kidnapped in Haiti have reportedly been released.
The kidnapping prompted religious officials to issue a scathing letter that criticized the government for its inaction. The nuns are from the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Anne, and all 8 people were abducted last Friday while traveling aboard a bus in Port-au-Prince.
Correspondent Donna Warder. The clock is ticking. Alabama will attempt to put an inmate to death with nitrogen gas, a never-before-used execution method that the state claims will be humane, but critics call cruel and experimental. Kenneth Eugene Smith, scheduled to die Thursday night for his conviction in the 1988 murder-for-hire slaying of Elizabeth Sennett. Smith's attorneys have asked the U.S. Supreme Court to halt that execution. Also at townhall.com, the nation's economy grew at an unexpectedly brisk pace of 3.3% in the fourth quarter of 2023. Bob Agnew with that report.
Americans showed a continued willingness to spend freely despite high interest rates and price levels that have frustrated many households. The GDP decelerated from its sizzling 4.9% annual growth rate for the previous quarter, but the latest figures mark the 6th straight quarter in which the GDP has grown at an annual pace of 2% or more. For all of 2023, the economy grew at a pace of 2.5%. That's up from 1.9% in 2022. Bob Agnew reporting.
China accusing the U.S. of abusing international law with its military maneuvers in the Western Pacific, one day after an American naval destroyer sailed through the politically sensitive Taiwan Strait. The American activity aimed at deterring China from launching any attack on Taiwan. More at townhall.com.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-320-7171. That's 800-320-7171.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Rain is likely this afternoon. Today's high 47 degrees. That rain should taper off this evening. Will drop to 41 overnight. Some patchy morning fog on Friday. Otherwise, a cloudy day with a high of 47 degrees. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Thursday afternoon here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh boy.
It's just still crazy out there. We are going to be getting the latest today throughout the show on the drama in Jeff City unfolding in the legislative session in the state of Missouri. Yesterday when we talked to Rodney Boyd, I left that conversation with a tad bit of optimism.
Mm-hmm.
Rodney had, pointed out that the best way to get going again is to just go after some low-hanging fruit that everybody can agree on, pass a couple of bills, and just kind of build some momentum, and you can start to put this behind you because it's going to be tough. Because my concern was it's so contentious right now and so personal right now that how are we going to get anything done this year for the people of Missouri in the legislative session? It just didn't seem possible. So, but Rodney, we talked and it seemed like, okay, it's going to be, maybe there is a path back. But then in the last 24 hours since that, there's more reports coming out about more contention, and not only did they remove people from speakership positions, but there's just back and forth going on social media.
Yes, there is.
People that are rumored about like maybe we should start kicking people out of seats, like elected officials. Are you kidding me? Like, it just seems like it's getting hotter, not colder.
It is, and it's reached all the way up to a federal level. We have Congressman Eric Burleson getting involved, where he is in the fight, naming Tim Jones and comparing Tim Jones's leadership as speaker to Caleb's. So, I mean, Tim is now fully into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of stinks because he's not going to be on today with Chris. But Tim is fully into this mix right now. And then you also have Chip Roy. Chip Roy, who has taken up a huge role in the last 2 days fighting for the Missouri Freedom Caucus. And it's just, maybe I missed this. I'm sure I have. I don't know if Josh Hawley is involved. I don't know if Eric Schmidt is involved. But I've seen so many other congressmen stepping up and stepping in to this role, defending the Missouri Freedom Caucus. And it's just a striking thing to see, like, Missouri have such like a rumble happening on a federal level.
So we'll get into this deeper with State Representative Justin Sparks, who's a member of the Missouri Freedom Caucus. So he's going to have some tremendous insight and opinions on this situation. And we're going to do that in just about 12 minutes from now. So don't go anywhere. We're also going to talk to Dr. Randy Tobler today, like we do every Thursday afternoon. Doc will join us in about an hour, a little after 3 o'clock. And, Randy has his show here with us on Saturday mornings at 6 a.m., but Randy Tobler is the morning show host at the Eagle in Columbia. So he's, I want to know what other parts of Missouri, how is this being covered? Is there in other parts of the state and in other areas, is there a different opinion about this? Like here, it feels like, there's a lot of people think that what Caleb Rowden and others are doing are petty and personal, and it feels like people are frustrated with that. But I wonder if in other places it's the other way around. I wonder if other areas think that the Missouri Freedom Caucus are the ones that are causing the problem. So it's going to be interesting just to kind of get that perspective from other parts of the state. So I'm looking forward to that conversation, and we'll get into all of that. But in the end of the day, it feels like none of this is issues based. It feels like it's all personal.
Absolutely. And I would love to direct people to go to Red State now and read Susie Moore's article.
We're going to I'm going to read some of that article with Justin next segment, and get his thoughts and reactions. It's a great article. RedState.com. Susie Moore is, phenomenal. Part of the family here at News Talk STL, and she's got a great article. And Red State, that's a national publication. So this is this issue, this Missouri issue, is getting to be a national issue. So we'll delve into to what's happening here locally when we talk to Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks in just a few minutes, and also later on with Dr. Randy Tobler just after 3 o'clock. I want to look back out to the national headlines for a second. James Carville, who has been everywhere. This guy, the Raging Cajun.
Your person.
My guy.
He is your guy.
I can watch James Carville, although he's starting to kind of jump the shark a little bit, but he's an entertaining guy. And that doesn't mean I agree with him, because I don't agree with a lot of things he says. Not at all. He says some ridiculous things. But he is an entertaining fella, I believe. He is warning the media and voters that Donald Trump might win this presidential election if we keep treating him like a normal candidate. If the media, he's warning the media, if you cover Donald Trump like you cover everybody else, he's going to win. So you need to change the way like, let's just openly calling for media bias. Just say, like, you got to do things differently when it comes to Donald Trump. You can't cover him like a normal person. I'll read the quote. The quotes. I mean, there's several. Democratic strategist James Carville advised the media to not treat former President Trump like a regular candidate as campaigning for the presidential election heats up ahead of the November election. He says, quote, "This is not a typical election." This was last night on MSNBC, of course. He complained that there is a massive effort to normalize Trump's candidacy for president. Quote, "What I'm obsessed with." His words. Saying it out loud.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we say things like Trump derangement syndrome and their obsession with Trump, and and most people in the media and politicians will say, I'm not obsessed with Donald Trump. At least James Carville just comes out and says
saying it.
Quote, "What I'm obsessed with is treating him like he is a normal candidate," emphasizing that Trump is not like other Republican politicians or past GOP nominees like Bob Dole or Mitt Romney.
Of course.
He's right about that. Donald Trump is not like Mitt Romney. Quote, "But if you look at this, there is a chance that Trump could win this election, and the way he wins is if he is treated like a normal candidate. We're ill-informing the public of just what a wretched human being this man is, and there is a giant effort in the media to try to normalize this."
The media is trying to normalize Trump?
Yes. This and that, we keep, and the Biden administration has said that a lot recently, that the Trump media, like, come on. Come on.
I am not buying the tickets you're trying to sell me.
How can you try to make the case that the majority of the media in this country is Trump supporting? I mean, like, it's just
delusional.
You
That's
just can't. I mean, nobody's buying that. Even the most ardent progressive out there cannot honestly look at in the mirror and say the media in this country is right wing.
Does he not want them to report that he won Iowa, that he won New Hampshire? I mean, what is he asking of media?
He didn't. That's a great question.
To not report that he's winning?
He didn't give any specifics except that he's a terrible person and we're normalizing it. And we can't do that. We've normalized some things in the last few years, particularly under the Biden administration. One of the things that has not been normalized by the media is Donald Trump's presidential campaign.
And also, I'm sorry to tell James this. He is a very smart man, and he has been doing this so much longer than me. But I'm sorry to tell him, but the 2016 and the 2018 campaign as a Democrat that you're trying to run, that we're normalizing Donald Trump, isn't working anymore. Just like Biden trying to campaign from the basement, just like people trying to be Trump when they're not Trump. All of these things are not working anymore because it isn't 2016 and it isn't 2018. We know who Donald Trump is. We know what he's capable of doing. We had him as a president for 4 years. We know his behavior. We know his idiosyncrasies. We know it all. So you saying as the American public, we're trying to normalize who Donald Trump is. Honey, is it not the Democrats that can't let him go? Has it not been the last 8 years of them repeatedly bringing and obsessing over Donald Trump every waking minute of every single day? We know who he is. No one is normalizing anything. We just know now.
Right.
We just know.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And for, like, talk about saying the quiet part out loud. It's getting to a point, and I've seen several stories like this recently, and I should start flagging them and bringing them up because I have noticed that as this desperation seems to set in, that Joe Biden's not going to win in November, that his popularity is in the toilet and Kamala Harris's popularity is in the toilet. Like, it's so bad. Like, they are starting to say the quiet part out loud. For him to admit that he's obsessed with Donald Trump and openly call for the media to cover him and report on Donald Trump differently than other candidates, and how MSNBC and Rachel Maddow, have publicly stated that they're not going to air Trump live because he's the leading candidate, Republican candidate for president, and in a presidential election year. And NBC News, MSNBC, won't carry any of his rallies or anything live because they say that they have a duty to not spread misinformation. I mean, that is, and they say that.
Yes, they do.
I mean, they're openly admitting to their bias and
neglecting to do their job.
The double standard. And yeah, I mean, it really.
How do you still have a job after saying, I'm actually not going to do 50% of my job? I'm just going to go ahead and not report anything that's happening with the leading candidate in the GOP. The other thing that just I don't know how to I don't know how to process this. Them saying things like, just don't cover Trump, or we're just not going to do this. We're not going to cover his rallies because of misinformation. Only fuels the fire for people to be like, well, dang, maybe I'll just go to YouTube and check out what he said. I'll just go to X and look at what he said. You're only fueling people to be more interested in what Donald Trump is doing.
Yes.
Which goes all the way back to they're trying to run the campaign like we already don't know who Donald Trump is. It's not going to work.
And they know that. They have seen, it is proven that going after him or anybody, I mean, when you go after somebody like this and people feel like they are just being unfairly picked on or whatever it may be, with all these different charges, we've seen that that's done nothing but what you just said, just embolden and mobilize support for Trump, as we've talked about before. It's forced before it was a landslide runaway in the Republican nomination process. people like Ron DeSantis and Tim Scott, when they were running again, had to put out statements, protect, like sticking up for Donald Trump because of the things that were happening. Like, so his opponents in the Republican Party were even having to stick up for him because it was so bad. I mean, it's done nothing. It's done nothing but build him up. It's done nothing but give him more support. And they know that. They have to see that, but they're so obsessed that they can't help it. They can't help themselves. They have to just go after him. And to tie this all together, I feel like that a miniature version of that obsession and just personal animosity is starting to develop in Jeff City. It's starting what we're starting to see with this, because everybody's asking the question, and we'll ask Justin Sparks in like 3 minutes. Why? Why did? And we talked with Rodney Boyd about this yesterday. Why and is this happening in Missouri? We've had contentious debates about topics and issues every year on a regular basis. What about this year made it all of a sudden go to the level where you're kicking people out of their leadership positions, taking away their parking spots, and even rumors of calling for people to be removed from office? Like, how did we get to this level? And it all seems to be personal.
It is.
It's not. It's not rooted in their job. It's not rooted in what they're supposed to be there to do. Debate issues, stand up for the beliefs of their constituents, the people that put them in their spots, and it's gotten personal, and they can't help themselves. And I feel like a smaller, a miniature version of what we've seen happen with Donald Trump over the last few years is now starting to play out in Jeff City.
Mm-hmm. Yep, fester right on in there.
Mm-hmm. So we will. We'll ask Justin Sparks what he thinks of that analysis, and ask him the question: Why? Why is this happening? Why is we getting to this level? And can we hope for or expect any progress to get done in this legislative session when all of this other petty distractions are taking up all of the air in the room? We'll talk to Missouri State Representative and Missouri Freedom Caucus member Justin Sparks next on Colombo and Katie.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio.
$700 billion and $1.3 billion.
Follow us on Getter at News Talk STL. Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo and Katie, Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch
News Talk STL.
Not too late to take advantage of the awesome offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res to start the year by getting your house cleaned up. Just book a cleaning in the month of March, March. Where am I at? In the month of January, and mention the Colombo special, and you will get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Incredible. And you can also take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Zero Res starting off the year with, I think, their best offer ever. We've talked about the team at Zero Res. They're the best. We've had them out at our house so many times over the years for so many different reasons. I mean, obviously, carpets are a big part of your home. It's a big part of the investment in your home. It's also, your carpets are also the biggest air filter in your home, so keeping them clean is really important. But they can clean any surface in your home: carpet, tile, upholstery, of course, the air ducts. They're the best across the board. And right now, you can take advantage of this amazing offer by booking a cleaning in January and mentioning the Colombo special. Again, you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119 plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online anytime at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forwards or backwards. It spells the same, Zero Res.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The numbers and the percentages of college freshmen and sophomores who now identify as something other than what they actually are is staggering because we have been promoting it. We have been instigating this dysphoria. We have been instigating this evil. Most of that has come from 2 places, education and popular.
Yeah, this is all spiritual warfare that's going on.
Weekday mornings, 5:30 till 9 on News Talk STL.
Ackerman Toyota had a great 2023, so Jay asked me to thank you for all of your support. Loyal customers making Ackerman Toyota number 1 in St. Louis Toyota sales. Number 1 out of the 75 Toyota dealers in the region in Camry and Corolla sales. Ackerman has the lowest prices, great selection. Visit Ackerman at Hampton and 44 or online, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
The Jefferson City Report, brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with my partner Katie Fitzpatrick, and joining us on the line now, as he does every Thursday afternoon at this time, is Missouri State Representative and Missouri Freedom Caucus member, Representative Justin Sparks. Justin, what have you done?
Okay, so
it's all your fault.
Yep, really excited to be back with you guys as always. I look forward to talking with you and speaking about freedom every week. And let me just tell you, this is what it looks like when you shake the foundations of power free and loose. Because these people, this uniparty that look down on you, ignore you, laugh at you, and don't think you're important, these people are worried, and this is what it looks like. It gets petty, it gets personal, it gets ridiculous, and it means it's working. So if you ever wondered what was it ever going to take to get some politicians to listen to me and to actually do something that they said they would do, this is what it takes. It takes getting persecuted. I mean, just look at Donald Trump, for heaven's sakes, but this is our own version of it. This is getting parking spots taken away, right? This is getting office furniture threatened to be yanked out of your office, maybe even your office gone. This is getting your chairmanships, money taken out of your back pocket. That's what it takes. And you know what blows me away, guys, is if they think, if these entrenched politicians that have been there forever doing the work of special interests and the enemy, in my opinion, if they think parking spots is why we got elected, they've got another thing coming.
You know, this is so interesting, and specifically with your journey through this, because this is your second year, and you've been on this show for a while, and we've had a lot of conversations over the last year plus, and you had a learning curve, as everybody does, moving out of law enforcement, a career in law enforcement to a career in in public service. And you sort of hit the ground running with this idea of, I'm not here to fall in line and, the good old boys system and, that has been there forever. And, we've heard people say that, and I'm not saying that they were lying, but, it just, we've never seen it. We've never seen this happen. We've never seen this type of reaction or, battle within the party. And, it was like right as you hit the ground and started really speaking about, speaking out against these systems, other voices were getting loud about this at the same time and came together. And I know that's kind of how the Freedom Caucus, came to be, those rallying voices. But I mean, can you imagine telling yourself just a year and a half ago, as you're making the decision, do I want to do this, how different Jeff City would be in, the short time since you've made that decision?
Tony, Katie, didn't I promise you that this is what we were going to do?
Yep.
I promised you that this is why I got elected. This is everything. This is what happens when you can't be bribed. This is what happens when you can't be blackmailed. This is what happens when you go up there to really, genuinely you don't care about getting reelected. This is what happens. You don't care about being liked, about being in the club, about all the little goodies that they offer you, right? You don't care about the cocktail parties. You don't care about any of it. I care about one thing. I care about the people. That's it. That's all I care about. I care about what they want. It's their government. And you know what, guys? That's what the founders were about. I envision these American punks, because they were all young. Essentially, Benjamin Franklin was in his late 30s, early 40s, and he was the oldest one.
Yeah.
Think about it. They were these American punks looking at the British saying, I don't care about any of it. You're not going to give me land. I don't care. I care about freedom. I care about the people. I care about these people. A government by the people, of the people, for the people. It's not just words. And these people in Jefferson City are yeah. They really believe this. Yes, we do. Don't care about parking spots. Don't care about furniture. Don't care about chairmanships. Don't care. What I care is what the people want.
So, Justin, whenever we look at this situation, Tony and I were just discussing at the beginning of the show, it's hitting a national level. And we're seeing people like Congressman Chip Roy. We're seeing people like Congressman Eric Burleson take a step and kind of join this cause, join the movement, and rally towards the Missouri Freedom Caucus. What does that mean for you guys to have people on the federal level kind of stepping in and saying, whoa, Missouri, we need to keep our eye on this and see what's going on with the Missouri Freedom Caucus and have their back?
Yeah, it's actually amazing when you get people like that calling you directly from Washington, D.C., from Texas, from all over the country. They call you directly and they say, hey, you are inspiring us. You are you're giving a lot of people a lot of hope. And that makes you feel really? In Missouri? And they're yeah, Missouri is leading the way. And somebody actually sent us a meme and it just said, this is the way. Mm-hmm. And we were that's going on a shirt because, we unintentionally, none of this is planned. It's all organic. It's just, this is the way. This is how our founders envisioned it. This is what it looks like, guys, to turn your government back to the people where it belongs. That's what this looks like. It's a little uncomfortable, makes some people really upset because they're being exposed. You see, they played a game for a long time. And if you want to get into the details, I can tell you exactly what's going on. I can tell you what we've done, what we've offered. We've gone behind the scenes, bending over backwards to try to work with these people, and we have the same demand over and over and over again. Move the bills. Do your job. Pass the bills. Move them to committees so that they can be heard and debated and voted on. We're only asking for the Republican Party platform priorities that you yourself have stated are your number one priorities. And yet, 4 weeks of session later, didn't do it until today. And he only did it after no gubernatorial appointments were going to go through. See, governor kind of got a little uncomfortable, right? Executive branch of government getting a little uncomfortable now, putting a little pressure hey, what's going on here? Well, we need to move some priorities, and nothing else is going to move until the priorities that the people have said they want done gets done.
So this is really good stuff, because I think there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of questions about what about this session, this year, what's happening now. There's always been contentious debates. There's always arguments in politics. There's always been arguments in Jeff City, even within the party. But we took it, we jumped. We went from 0 to 100, with this kicking people out of leadership positions, taking away their parking lots. There's been rumors that there's been talks of wanting to kick or, put out a proposal to remove certain people from seats. I mean, it's like, what is happening? What about this year has set it off? And you've kind of touched on it a little bit there. And I had a long conversation earlier today with Senator Nick Schroer, talking about this and getting some information about it. And it does seem like that it's nothing about the issues. It's nothing about what you're there to do, serve the people of Missouri. It's personal and petty. And so what about what is the basis? What's the trigger? What's the center point of why this has gotten so big so fast?
Well, because for a long time, this leadership team and there, you know me, guys. There's a time to be nice, and then there's a time to be truthful, and sometimes those don't overlap. Okay, you can still be kind, but there's time for being direct, and we're going to be direct here. Caleb Rowden is the Senate Pro Tem. He's leader of the Senate, and then we have the floor majority leader there, Cindy O'Loughlin. And what has happened is priorities like initiative petition reform that we have talked so much about. And, for example, the Speaker of the House, Dean Plocker, has tried getting initiative petition reform done for 6 years and sent it over. We passed it in the House last year, sent it over to Caleb Rowden, and the Speaker had told us in caucus that Caleb Rowden had promised to get that bill done and get it back to us by spring break. Never happened, did it? That bill died because there's no interest in getting initiative petition done. They don't want to get it done. They want to look like they're doing these things, and they have no interest in actually doing any of them. Because if they can keep initiative petition the way it is, then extremely influential and well-funded outside groups from Texas and groups from elsewhere, very, very influential billionaire families, can come in and manipulate the initiative petition process. And that's exactly their plan for Missouri. Make no mistake, that's what they want. They want ranked choice voting. They want abortion back in Missouri up until birth. These issues can only subvert the will of the people through their elected representatives and their elected senators. That's how you get these things done in big red states. And so what they've done is influence the leadership of the legislature in order to maintain that avenue of changing the Constitution. And mark my words, that's what this is all about. And now the rubber has hit the road, because basically you have the Freedom Caucus that says no more. Nothing else moves until the number one priority that we have talked about for years is addressed. Do it now.
I'm so glad you're talking about this, because I know that the constitutional initiative petition is a big part of the heart of this issue. And yesterday we're talking with Ronnie Boyd, who has, you want to talk about an insider of Missouri politics that's seen a lot of things in the public and behind the scenes in Jeff City. Ronnie Boyd has been there for all of it. And I asked him, how can we have any hope that anything gets done this legislative session when we're not talking about the issues at all? And it doesn't even seem like these people can be in the same room together. And he mentioned, and he said the path back is to look at some of the low-hanging fruit, quote-unquote low-hanging fruit, that everybody can agree on, try to pass some bills, try to build some momentum, and try to go from there. But publicly, the constitutional amendment process has been publicly one of the low-hanging fruits. It's one that everybody, I've never talked to anybody involved in Missouri politics that has said that it's a good system. Everybody says it needs to be changed. Everybody says it's a bad system. It needs to be changed. So here we go. Everybody, we can all agree. We're going to change it. And what I'm hearing is kind of what you're talking about now also is that it's publicly, everybody's on the same page, but then as soon as you try to push something through, all of a sudden the goalposts move and something behind the scenes changes. And what we thought was something that everybody agreed on for some reason isn't. And that is kind of a big part of what's at the heart of all of this. Is that an accurate representation?
You hit the nail on the head as usual, because people start changing their opinion when dollars start flowing, and that's the reality of it. That is exactly truth. Sorry, it's inconvenient. It sounds bad. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? It is the truth, inconvenient and uncomfortable as it is. Dollars start flowing and people start changing their minds. All of a sudden, their convictions aren't so convicting anymore. Weird. That's the culture that we're trying to change. And you know what's cool is it's not everybody. It really isn't. There's a lot of people that are trying, want to do the right thing, but have been working in a system that has literally been working against them for the last 2 decades. And especially in the last 6 to 7 years. Strange. That's how long the Senate Pro Tem's been in power. But that's what they're really facing. And now they're on the fence. This is why this is such a critical time in our state. It's a critical time in our country for the same reason. They're looking. They're watching. They've seen some patriots take a stand, take some heat, right? And they're looking to see how this is going to shake out. And frankly, that's why we're calling everybody to the Capitol on Tuesday, because we want to show these other representatives and senators it's okay to do the right thing. Do the right thing. Take a stand for truth for once and watch how good it feels. The people have your back.
Talking to Missouri State Representative and Missouri Freedom Caucus member Justin Sparks. Can we keep you for another segment? There's so much more that I want to talk to you about, and maybe we can talk about a path forward. Is there any bills being discussed? If you could stick around, Justin, let's continue this in just a moment. Are you all right with that?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Great stuff. All right, we will continue our conversation with Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks next on Colombo and Katie.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 941, 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
420 will speak with Dakota Wood of the Heritage Foundation, 505 Simon Ateba, Chief White House Correspondent for Today's News Africa, and 520 Chris Gall of Read Line.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
If you need to raise money for an organization that you are a part of, like a church or a school, or maybe your kids are on a sports team or a part of a club that needs to raise money for some reason, there is no better way to do so in the St. Louis area than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. I'm sure that you are familiar with TJ's Pizza fundraisers because they have been the #1 fundraising company in the St. Louis area for over 40 years now. They've literally raised tens of millions of dollars for their customers over the years, and they continue to get better and better. They don't rest on their laurels. They take that feedback from that years of experience and they make it an easier process, refine what they do every year to get better and better, and they continue to be the best. And although they have, introduced things over the years like the pop-up fundraisers and, of course, digital fundraising, online fundraising, and things like that, it really goes down to the 3 basic core elements of TJ's Pizza fundraising, and that is great customer service, huge profit margins for their customers, and #1, great products. People love TJ's Pizzas and the other products that they offer, and it just gives you a chance to raise money faster and more money than any other way out there. So if you are looking to raise money here at the beginning of the year as an organization or even as yourself as an individual, you can do so, of course, with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. If you need to raise big money fast, get started at tjspizza.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here with Katie Fitzpatrick in studio, and on the line with us for a little overtime this week is Missouri State Representative and Missouri Freedom Caucus member, Representative Justin Sparks is with us. And Justin, Katie and I were talking earlier in the show about, Katie touched on with you how this is becoming a national story. And Susie Moore, who, of course, is part of the family here at News Talk STL and also with redstate.com, which is a national news organization, has an incredible article right now at redstate.com that I highly recommend people check out. I want to read you just a little piece of this and then and get your thoughts on it. So, again, this is Susie Moore's article on redstate.com right now. The headline is Bad Blood in Mo Leg as Senate Prez strips Freedom Caucus leaders of committee chairs and parking spots. She says, quote, for several years, conservatives have watched in frustration as legislature dominated by Republicans and with a Republican governor has repeatedly found a way to not pass effective legislation that embodies core conservative principles: school choice, transgender issues, election integrity, initiative petition reform. These are just a few of the areas in which productive legislation has either failed to pass or passed in watered-down fashion. Why? Those who follow Missouri politics closely have a fairly good idea. It's the same old song with establishment players pitted against the conservative caucus, and in Missouri, it's turned into trench warfare. So, as this, and I highly recommend, again, you guys all check out this article because it's fantastic. And, she points out, and we've talked about it, this has gotten really intense, really fast, and it's getting bigger. It's becoming a national story. When you boil all that away and you're a voter, you're a citizen of the state of Missouri, how can you feel like anything is going to get done in this legislative session if we can't even be in the same room together, let alone discuss any policy? How bad is this going to be as far as just halting any progress this year?
Yeah, great question. And just realize the vitriol and the personal attacks are only on one side. See, we already knew that this was all coming. It's so funny when we decided to form the Freedom Caucus, which we had been talking about wanting to do both on the Senate and the House side. And then the National Freedom Caucus Network, reached out and we all went to training. That this was exactly what they said has been done in other states and on the national level. They said, literally, this is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to follow this script of attacking you personally. Then they're going to take chairmanships away. Then they're going to take parking spots away. They're going to start trying to move you around in the building. They're going to use everything at their disposal to mess with you because that's all they have. Because they start to realize, oh my gosh, what else could we do? There's not much else you can do because all we're sitting there saying is do your job and be a Republican, right? Just follow the Republican Party platform and actually move bills forward. And this isn't just in our state. This is all over the country. This is why this is so critical. This is why this is so important. It makes me wonder, too, if you think parking spots and petty little things are going to be a big deal or going to modify behavior, how foolish are you?
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking, why in the world would they think that something like that would work, or threatening to kick you out of the Senate, something that we wouldn't even do to Democrats? These people are elected by their constituents to represent those interests. That's the will of the people. And so you kind of have to ask yourself, and I did, why? Well, because leadership in the Senate, they like parking spots. That's why they're doing the job. They like cool offices. They like cool chairmanships, and they like the attention from lobbyists, and they like to be told how great they are. Do you understand? These are the type of people that we're dealing with. And you kind of ask yourself, did they start out that way, or have they gotten to be that way? And I don't know the answer to that because I don't know what's in their soul, frankly. And I still pray for them. I still pray that they're going to see the light and turn. You asked, Tony, how in the world can we even ask or expect anything to get done? That's what everybody keeps saying. Well, everything's just going to get shut down. We're not going to get anything done. First of all, a lot of what getting things done is actually terrible, so that's not a bad thing, okay? So a lot of the sludge won't pass anymore. That's good. But let's talk about, there's some really good bills out there. I've got really good bills, that I'd like to see passed. And I am very hopeful. Here's the reason why. Because on Tuesday, the people of Missouri have a right to come into their house, the people's house, and come up to the second floor and come right by my office at the vault, and you can make your voice heard. That's how government really works. You don't have to stand outside in the cold or in the rain or behind barbed wire and fences and guards. The people's house is still the people's house in Jefferson City, Missouri, and you're welcome there. And we're welcoming everybody to come and have your voice heard. The walls of Jericho fell down by voices alone, frankly, and I think that we're not facing anything like the walls of Jericho. So I hope to see people from all over the state join us at Tuesday. Why? Because you can take your government back. What you're feeling, this excitement in my voice, this is this pressure because people are waking up and they're thinking, wow, does my voice really matter? Yes, it does. It is your government. It is your house. It is your offices that they're threatening, not ours. It's your parking spaces. It's your tax dollars that pay for all of it. We simply represent you. That's what we do.
Justin, whenever we look at this situation, how many other Republicans are siding with the behavior of Caleb Rowden, and how many other Republicans are siding with the Missouri Freedom Caucus actually being able to do what they set out to do?
Yeah, great question. So, on the House side, I'm happy and proud and honored to say that the House really is much more conservative and actually pushing bills forward, including initiative petition, multiple versions of initiative petition, multiple versions of Republican Party platform stuff. So we're still continuing to work. We are the speaker and the leadership moving bills. We're hearing them in committee. We're going to be voting for them on the floor, and we're going to be sending them to the Senate eventually. So that's really good because half the House is working. The other half is not. And some of these senators that are definitely traditionally more conservative have been browbeat and threatened and intimidated by leadership. And I know this is true. They've been told these things, and then they take chairmanships away from Freedom Caucus members. And then what? Some of those members were rewarded with a new chairmanship. And guys, if you didn't know, you get paid more money. You get more money for your staff with a chairmanship, right? You get more
and a cool office, like you
so
said, a cool office and a
Yeah.
cool parking spot and a cool title.
Yeah, exactly. See, so you're getting these perks. And what I encourage my colleagues over on the Senate side, whom I respect, is truthfully and prayerfully consider rejecting those perks. Do the right thing and take a stand for doing what's right and say, I don't want it this way. if I'm going to get a chairmanship, I want to earn it. I don't want it because you stripped something away petty and punishing somebody else because you disagree with them and what they're trying to do, especially on this issue, and give me a chairmanship. I mean, that would make me feel disgusting, frankly. And sadly, some of those senators aren't bad people. You know what I mean? Like some of them have done good work in the past, and they're just not strong enough, guys. They're just not strong enough. They've got consultants, because when you get to the Senate level, you've got people chirping in your ear, right? Consultants make a lot of money off your campaign, and they're chirping in your ear, hey, don't stand with those guys. It'll be bad for you because there's no way that they're going to win. There's just no way. The leadership is too powerful. They're too well funded. So don't get in the middle of that. You know, don't. I know that you're with them philosophically. You know how many times I've heard that in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, hey, I'm with you. I believe all the same things you do, Justin. I can't be seen. You know, I don't want to make leadership upset. And it's like, guys, those days are over. That time is past. Take a stand because it's the right thing to do. It's okay. You'll survive. You'll be just fine. And you'll sleep better at night. And frankly, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take leadership under the pressure of the people of Missouri for a change in leadership. And frankly, that's where we're headed. And I'm actually hopeful that this logjam in the Senate is going to break free. It's going to break free, and it's going to break free one way or the other. And when it does, good Republican Party platform ideas and policy will get passed. The House is ready to work. I'm hopeful for the Senate.
So I want to touch on that. We're almost out of time. We're talking to Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks. I did want to touch on an actual issue, which is what we should be talking about this time of year. There's a story out that a couple of proposals advanced in the House in your section of the building there yesterday that revolve around transgender issues. In just a minute and a half or so, can you kind of give us a explanation of the one piece of actual legislation that seems to be actually talked about and moving forward a little bit this week?
Well, obviously, we're attempting to remove the sunset clause that was added in the Senate last year by, yet again, the same leadership we're talking about. Couldn't even pass one, not one single Republican Party platform priority without a sunset clause on it. So we're trying to address the sunset clause and remove it permanently. And it's incredible. And we're going to remove the sunset clause permanently, hopefully. And also we're talking about bathrooms. We're talking about protecting girls in their own bathroom space. I cannot believe that I have to even say that out loud.
Right.
But protecting girls in school from having to go into their own bathroom and see a sexually mature male using their restroom in their private space. And I'm happy to say that, Representative Hudson and Schnelting, both Freedom Caucus members, pushing forth good conservative priority agendas.
It's that's good stuff, and hopefully we can see some progress through all this drama as we go through this session. We appreciate the insight and the updates each and every week. If people want to learn more, maybe join the fight, get involved, what are the best ways to keep up with you and all the stuff that you're working on?
Of course, you can of course follow Missouri Freedom Caucus and Justin M. Sparks on Twitter, X, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Justin Sparks, and Sparks from Missouri, sparksfrommissouri.com. God bless you guys.
Yeah, back at you. Great stuff. Thank you so much for your time. Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks. Have a great day. That was awesome. That is
real
real talk.
Wow.
And finally, peeling back the curtain.
Yeah.
Like insight on why this is happening, how long this stuff has been going on, how bad it really is. Like he just mentioned that every conservative bill that has been passed in recent years has a sunset clause because the only way to get it done is to make it temporary.
How does that happen in a supermajority?
I didn't know until I read Susie's article today that I knew that the constitutional amendment process was a disaster. I didn't know that the Missouri Constitution has 119 amendments. 119
Wild.
amendments. So this how out of control and how bad it has gotten. So it's refreshing to bring that all to the surface. We're going to continue the conversation with Dr. Randy Tobler next on Colombo and Katie.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
The Republican Party, City of St. Louis, extends its deepest thanks to Attorney General Andrew Bailey for the awaited report on Kim Gardner. Attorney General Bailey, in a city where every heartbeat matters, you've been the steady hand guiding us back to safety. Your persistent hard work and dogged pursuit of justice have begun to paint a new picture of hope and security in the city of St. Louis. To read the news article, full report, and executive summary, go to stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hi, everybody. It's Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. The weather is cold, the world is woke, and our president is a joke.
Gee, Todd, it sounds like people need something to be happy about.
You're darn right, Joey. That's why every Saturday from 5 until 6, it's The Right Mind Show.
Boy, I feel giddy.
I bet you do. That's because we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
I want to sing.
Not now.
I'm full of joy.
Yeah, well, we're full of something, Joey.
It's The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Colombo and Katie inviting you to join us, plus Mark Close and a whole bunch of our musical friends Saturday, January 27th at Westport Playhouse.
Our band, Mark's band, and Lenny Mink will be joined by some very special guests for an awesome night of music for a great cause. All proceeds go to Thrive St. Louis. Get your tickets now at westportplay.com and join us for a great party January 27th at Westport Playhouse. Brought to you by Weber Chevrolet.
Tickets on sale now at westportplay.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Former President Donald Trump has briefly testified in the defamation trial against him filed by a former columnist in New York.
Former President Trump testified for several minutes, telling the court that he just wanted to defend himself. He said of columnist E. Jean Carroll, "She said something I considered a false accusation." But the judge told the jury to disregard that remark. Trump was heard in the courtroom away from the jury, saying he didn't know E. Jean Carroll, something that he said repeatedly on the campaign trail as well.
Until this happened, obviously, I have no idea who she was, and nor could I care less.
Carroll seeking over $10 million in damages, testifying that Trump ruined her reputation after she accused him of sexually abusing her in 1996 in the dressing room of a Manhattan department store. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Also at townhall.com, Trump White House official Peter Navarro, who was convicted of contempt of Congress for refusing to cooperate with a congressional investigation into the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, has been sentenced to 4 months behind bars. Navarro says he's being treated unfairly.
This issue is simply about the constitutional separation of powers, executive privilege, and the integrity of presidential decision-making, and this is a principle that goes back to the days of George Washington.
Navarro says his lawyer has filed an appeal. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to stop an Alabama execution. Contract killer Kenneth Eugene Smith is set to be executed by nitrogen hypoxia Thursday night. The Dow finishing up 228 points, the NASDAQ ahead 28. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. be the next success story.
Seth Holhouse brings hope and insight as he fights against socialism and communism on the Man in America podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The role of the digital world in shaping our perception of the real world cannot be overlooked. It seems like all of these mechanisms are dividing us in endless ways.
Subscribe to Man in America today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Rain is likely this afternoon. Today's high 47 degrees. That rain should taper off this evening. Will drop to 41 overnight. Some patchy morning fog on Friday. Otherwise, a cloudy day with a high of 47 degrees. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Fox News commentary.
A California woman was arrested for jacking Stanley Cups worth nearly $2,500. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
As most Americans suffer financially, gold just hit an all-time high. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why you need a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Secure your IRA or your 401k right now. Text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Get the obsession with the Stanley Cup tumblers, not the black ones or the gray ones or the pink ones. So it goes without saying that I was stunned to learn that a California woman was willing to commit a crime to get her hands on 65 of them. Yeah, a 23-year-old Stanley enthusiast was caught with a cart full of the stolen coveted cups, estimated to be worth nearly $2,500. So in response, the Roseville Police Department posted to its Facebook page, quote, "While Stanley quenchers are all the rage, we strongly advise against turning to crime to fulfill your hydration habits." I don't know what's more shocking, the fact that she was willing to commit a crime over some tumblers, or the fact that these tumblers are worth that much, because they are, after all, just tumblers with built-in straws. You know, I swear the world has gone mad. In the 90s, it was Beanie Babies, then toilet paper took the top spot in 2020, and now people are going mad over cups and tumblers. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values
Haven't been abandoned everywhere. The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Yeah, that's great stuff there. Local music. That is Justin Ross. Speaking of local music, don't forget about our show coming up Saturday. That's in 2 nights. That is incredible that our show is in 2 nights.
It's awesome.
Katie and I, our band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, playing Saturday night at Westport Playhouse, a show with 100% of the proceeds going to Thrive St. Louis, which is amazing. And is thanks to our sponsors, Weber Chevrolet and Gutter Pros. It's our band along with our buddy Mark Close from KC95 and his band, Closest Quarters, and Lenny Mink. We will be playing, and there's going to be some other special guests and surprises, and it's just going to be a great party. And tickets are just $15, and again, 100% of the proceeds go to Thrive St. Louis. So if you're looking for a fun night of music, just a party atmosphere, music from across different decades, but a lot of sing-alongs, a lot of rock and roll. It's going to be just a party. And you can join us Saturday night, Westport Playhouse in the Westport Plaza. Go to westportplay.com to get your tickets now. And again, a big thank you to Weber Chevrolet and Gutter Pros for sponsoring this event and allowing us to have an awesome, great party celebration of local music and be able to give all of the proceeds to Thrive St. Louis. Again, westportplay.com. We hope to see you out there on Saturday night. Amazing stuff in that last two segments with Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks. We are supposed to talk to Dr. Randy Tobler at this time. We are working on getting him connected. Dr. Tobler, of course, you can hear every Saturday morning here on News Talk STL, but he's also the morning show host in Columbia, and the Eagle in Columbia, Missouri. So hopefully we can get connected with Doc here in a few minutes, and because I'd like to know what other parts of the state are feeling about this. If it's being covered differently, if there's a different opinion, if there's different momentum from one side or the other. Because here in our area, it definitely seems like, there's a established opinion of, the traditional institutionalized system is upset with the Missouri Freedom Caucus coming in and shaking things up. As Justin started his interview with, saying this is what happens when you shake things up. So I wonder if that is the same coverage in
Columbia.
other parts of the state. Yeah. So we'll work on getting Doc connected here, because not only does Doc have a full-time morning show and a Saturday morning show here on News Talk STL, he's also a practicing physician.
Yeah.
So
got his hands full.
He is a busy man. Anything in that conversation from Justin stand out to you? I mean, I think it's so great that for once, guys like Justin Sparks and Nick Schroer and our very own Tim Jones and the people that are involved in the Missouri Freedom Caucus are shining a light on what has caused so many frustrations and so many delays or failures of the Republican Party in the last several years.
I think it's a really good thing to note that Justin, Bill Eigel, Tim Jones, Nick Schroer, all of them don't care about a parking space. It's petty behavior, like we talked with Rodney Boyd about. Like, it is something to fume about, especially because it is a personal choice that was made. But Justin brought up something very significant, and that is those kinds of things, the materialistic things, big office, nice window, cool parking spot, seem to matter more in the Senate than they might in the House. And to me, I guess because I don't go to Jeff City often, I guess it's because I don't visit the Capitol really as much as Tim Jones and Chris and stuff like that. It's interesting to hear that kind of inside knowledge to say the place that is supposed to be this cooling mat and the place that is supposed to be even keel, leveled, is maybe the place that cares more about those materialistic things. And therefore, when they strip someone of that, they take it away from a House member thinking it's going to do damage. It only emboldens maybe a Justin Sparks to react and say, don't give a rip. I don't give a rip about a parking space. That's not what I'm here for. So that learning more about the internal conflicts that are going on within our party, unfortunately, I think is going to be a really, really part of what's happening this year.
Yeah, and it's different from other years, other periods of time where the voices that maybe tried to shine a light on this, they were suppressed. And now with the formation of the Freedom Caucus, there is a group that is, standing together to not back down to, the lobbyists and the special interests and all the things that Justin was talking about. So great conversation there with Missouri State Representative and Missouri Freedom Caucus member Justin Sparks. If you missed any of it, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, Colombo and Katie podcast, available on basically every podcast platform. So if you're subscribed, you never miss anything that happens here on the show. I think we have Doc on the line now. Dr. Randy Tobler is with us. Doc, boy, you were right on the cutting edge of this. I was listening to your show this past Saturday morning, and you had Senator Bill Eigel on, and you were talking about these things that this division in the party, and then a couple days later, everything exploded. So you were having this conversation before it even hit the headlines. So pretty amazing stuff, Doc. Thanks for your time and
my pleasure.
We just had an incredible conversation with Justin Sparks, Representative Sparks. What is the feeling? What is your feeling on this? And what is the feeling in mid-Missouri about this?
Yeah.
I know what the temperature in St. Louis is, but what are you hearing from your listeners there?
I think it depends who you ask. People that are involved in the legislative process and have been before there was a Freedom Caucus, at least the new iteration of the Freedom Caucus, are scratching their heads because there are people. I mean, I had Cindy O'Loughlin on my program in Columbia. She was on the other day, and then after this happened, she was on Tuesday. And then when this all happened, Caleb Rowden was on the program yesterday. And their story is a lot different. And look, full disclosure here, I worked very closely with Cindy O'Loughlin. I know her well for years when I was running the hospital and I was her constituent in the district up there. You won't find a person of higher integrity than Cindy O'Loughlin.
So, Doc,
And you won't find a higher person of integrity than Bill Eigel from what I know of him. But there are people that are saying that, look, here's what I'm hearing from one side. I don't know how to calibrate this anymore. I'm losing sleep over this, man. I spent a lot of time staring at the ceiling because, yes, we all want to get things done. But, yes, there is a standard order, process of order. Caleb Rowden told us yesterday that of the six, this was as of Tuesday afternoon. He said, the Senate's been in session 16 hours, and 15 and a half of them have been, the floor has been held by Freedom Caucus members, with the implication being, how can we get business done when people are insisting on having it their way instead of the way the Senate order is?
Yeah.
And so I'm betwixt and between. I mean, I've talked to people that I'm very close with, sources inside various offices down there. People are scratching their heads. It's like, we want to get something done. Look, I suspect that part of the allegations that are going around, the O'Loughlin and Rowden, and I think the majority of the GOP conference, it's a majority, are saying, look, we want, they're not saying it directly, but here's what's implicit. We think that people are creating obstruction and wanting to push these things through outside the usual processes because there's political hay to be made. So basically creating an obstruction to claim that other people's are creating us obstruction so I can get elected. That's the summary.
That's super interesting.
And good people on Bill's side are saying, well, what the hell? Why can't we get something done? And I the political observer of me says, wait a minute, Cindy O'Loughlin wants education choice. Caleb Rowden wants education choice more than anyone I know. Everyone wants IP reform. Everyone wants tax reform. Everyone wants what everyone wants, but it seems like unless it's maybe one way, it's possible that it could be that because a particular IP may be on the Freedom Caucus agenda or a particular education choice, if that doesn't pass, nothing else is acceptable. Is that a possibility? I don't know. I don't know to that level of the weeds. I'm as confused as the rest of. I don't know the answer.
No, but I'm glad you bring that up because that we haven't been able to speak to somebody like Caleb Rowden or Cindy O'Loughlin like you have. So it's hard to get the whole story.
At 8:10 on Saturday morning.
Oh, that's
Cindy's
beautiful.
Gonna be on at 8:10.
Everybody needs to tune in for that for sure this Saturday morning, because one thing I do know, Doc, and I know and I think that you will agree, and it was really, as we're all, and now that this is all under the microscope and you're realizing just how bad it is, we've all talked about the frustrations of a state with a supermajority of Republicans that can't get conservative bills and policies across the finish line year after year. And then we're talking about Susie Moore's incredible article in Red State today. I didn't realize that. I knew that the constitutional amendment process is a mess and needs to be fixed. I didn't realize that the Missouri Constitution has 119 amendments. I mean, that is insane. I didn't realize until talking with Justin Sparks a few moments ago that every controversial big conservative bill that has passed in the last couple of years all have sunset clauses because that's the only by putting by making it temporary essentially is the only way to get things done. So when you learn all of that and you kind of know that already that there's a big problem with the system and the way that it's been run, then it's hard to not go, you're right. We do need to change things. That maybe we're not following the system, but maybe the system is the problem. And I think that is the frustration and the root of a lot of this division and a lot of this animosity. And I don't know, like you said, there's a different story between depending on what side you talk to, but it doesn't feel like we're in a good place for any kind of productive session.
As I understand it, the way the process goes is the bills are referred to committees. Committees hash out many different versions of a particular issue, conservative issue. We heard from Caleb Rowden yesterday that Cindy O'Loughlin said that there had been, I think it was 12 IP reform bills were in committee. There were 20 tax bills, 30 some other bills, education. I mean, it was. I think bills are getting done. Now, look, I have been critical to Caleb Rowden's and Cindy O'Loughlin's not face but ear, because it's been over the phone on the air. And it's like, hey, I think we can all agree that it makes no sense with a session that's four months long to wait till this last week, and this predates them. This is going on for decades.
This has gone on forever. Yeah.
Why does what are the senators doing that they can't get their business done and get some of the big issues done before the last week or day or hour of the session?
Yeah.
I don't start writing my term papers when I was in school. Well, maybe once I did the night before it's due.
Well, and Doc, another question. You're exactly right. Why does nothing get done until the last week? And specifically with, you could pick out multiple topics, but specifically with the constitutional amendment process, everybody I've ever talked to has said that it's a problem and it needs to be reformed. It seems like that's low-hanging fruit, but according to each side, everybody's publicly on the same team, but then behind closed doors, somebody's always moving the goalposts.
Well, but let's look at this in a different way. And look,
please.
You're talking to a guy whose heart and soul live in St. Louis to this day, but physically, and part of my brain and soul and heart, lives in Columbia and has lived in rural Missouri.
Yeah.
There is this metro-rural tension, and I think that may account for some of it. I'm respectful of the fact that we have great population centers, one of them my hometown, St. Louis. And the other, a grand American city, Kansas City, happens to be the home of the present Super Bowl champs, right? So we have to be respectful that we have, a state that's interesting, heavily rural and at the same time heavily urban and suburban, right?
Yeah.
So I think some of that's going on. I think that a lot of times rural legislators feel as though, and this I'm not speaking for the rural legislators, but what I've heard and sort of what you read between the line is rural legislators feel as though they're often strong-armed by the other people to doing things that really hurt rural Missouri, and if they would be a little more compromising on some of these bills, and I don't know which particular ones, to include a consideration of rural Missouri's needs, maybe that would work. One of the specific criticisms, because it's always, we can talk in generalities, one of the specific criticisms that I've heard waged at the Freedom Caucus is Senator Hoskins, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he represents a lot of the rural area down here, right? He held out, and apparently there was a lot of stuff because of the slot machine bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But I guess he got that passed, or he got one bill passed that was a slot machine bill. Hasn't been able to get much else passed. I have to ask myself the question: when you look at there's 24, 25 Republican senators, right? 24, I guess. Why is it that the Freedom Caucus is in the minority, and the rest of those senators, you talk to them, sit down, talk to them, they're as conservative as anyone in the Freedom Caucus. They're conservative. Why is it? Mary Elizabeth Coleman, if I remember, wasn't she sponsored by the Freedom Caucus? but yet she's sort of distanced herself from what I can tell. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know about the previous, but you're right. I think
she wasn't.
Yeah,
and she wasn't taken off of. If she is a member of the Freedom Caucus, she's not taken off of the committee assignment. Nick Schroer hasn't been beat up in the purge that happened the other day.
Yeah, but that Nick, the reason that Senator Schroer's leadership position wasn't stripped is because that particular committee that he's on, that leadership is voted on by the committee.
Oh,
and it can't be Caleb Rout. It's not the same control over other committees. Yeah. So there's a lot of, there's just so many
checkers
variables, and each specific instance is so different.
I don't know. Look, I know Caleb fairly well. You may know Caleb has his roots in Christian music. I mean, he was a professional Christian music singer. He's not an evil person. And I think that it's difficult when you're in a leadership position. You're trying to satisfy elected officials that represent constituencies that are different. Not everyone is as red meat eating conservative as the St. Charles O'Fallon area, which I love. I love the people that listen to our program and listen to our station and are, hard right in all the right ways. But there are other there's different brands of conservatism, and there's different levels. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it before. I don't think Nikki Haley is an evil person. She's just not as conservative as Donald Trump. But by God, she's better than anyone else.
Better than Joe Biden.
I'd like to see both sides. The bottom line is, I'd like to see both sides get in a room with a moderator, and someone just say, "Hey, let's just keep the tone down. Let's stop the name calling." I know there was a lot said about the name calling the other day. If Bill will come on my show, I hope Bill will come on next week on my program in Columbia. He was on last week in St. Louis, and Cindy will be on this week in St. Louis, and that'll be great. I'd love to hear it on News Talk to see what she's going to say. But I think that the name calling thing is what gets me. Okay, so Caleb used the word swamp creatures the other day. I wish he wouldn't have used that word.
Mm-hmm.
If I recall, the first name calling that went across the bow was certain senators calling other senators rhinos. That's name calling.
Yeah, I mean, there's been Missouri Clown Caucus. There's been all kinds of. You're right. That's my fear, and unfortunately, we're just about out of time here, Doc. But that's my fear is exactly what you said. It's gotten to a level with name calling.
I think it's personal now.
It's so personal now, and it's so personal that they can't even be in the same room together. And if they can't even be in the same room together, we're miles away from talking about the business of the state. And so I hope they find a way, a way to get in the same room and to have some type of conversation.
I'm fond of both. I'm fond of people on both sides of the ledger. I hope that neither side has burnt bridges, because I got a feeling either side thinks the other side has burnt bridges. So I don't know how we're going to manage
tough.
it.
Yeah.
We need a new infrastructure bill.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, I will say it again. Make sure you're tuned in Saturday morning to the Randy Tobler show. You said 8:10 for Cindy O'Loughlin's appearance, because I know that is, that side is not one that we've been able to hear as much from here on News Talk STL. So I'll be listening, and I hope many others are as well. And really appreciate the insight, especially from another part of the state, because like you said, there's different feelings in different areas, and this is a statewide big picture issue, and so we want to capture as much of that as we can. There he goes. Dr. Randy Tobler.
Mad about it.
The phone knew the phone knew that we were late for break. So great stuff there from Doc. We'll wrap up that conversation. I know Katie has a few more thoughts, and so do I. Also, I want to get into some other headlines before we wrap things up today. Interesting story about Ring doorbell videos and law enforcement. I want to run this. I just want to run this by you to see what your opinion is on this. So we got to get to a few other topics as we finish up this Thursday afternoon on Colombo and Katie.
analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
If you are having an issue with your gutters at your home or your business, there is only one team to call, and that, of course, is the Gutter Pros, who, again, cannot thank enough for being sponsors of our concert this Saturday night at Westport Playhouse. Katie and I's band playing with Mark Lose's band. All the money, all the proceeds for this show go to Thrive St. Louis, and we wouldn't be able to do that without our great sponsors like Gutter Pros. So, doing what they can in the community, as well as providing great service to their customers all across the area. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep, whether it be leaf protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation, anything surrounding the gutters up there, the soffit, the fascia. Gutter Pros has you covered. They offer free estimates and they offer financing on jobs that are over $2,000 because they really do everything they possibly can to make everything as easy and affordable as possible for you. We had them work on our gutters earlier, or I guess it was last year now, and they couldn't have been better. They're just absolutely the best. So again, if you're having any issues with your gutters at your home or business, call the Gutter Pros now. You can call them at 314-656-7195 or just go to gutterpros.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
If you missed yesterday's Larry Connor's USA program, shame on you, but I know you can't listen all the time. But you can get the audio, even video podcast at LarryConnorsUSA.com. But this is more than just a promotion. I want to tell you about this story. It deserves deep investigation. Trying to bribe a U.S. Senate candidate to get out of the race. A lot of money apparently on the table. But if the candidate doesn't take the money, suggestions drug cartels might be used. This is an audio recording with Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake and the AZ GOP chairman Jeff DeWitt. At one point, DeWitt says, these are very powerful people in the East who simply want you to get out. Is there a number at which, and she says, I can be bought? Is that what this is about? And he said, well, you can take a pause for a couple of years and then go back. And Lake said, no, I will not get out, even for $1 billion. At one point, she said, they'll have to kill me. And DeWitt says, drug cartels are now in every state, you know. She says, you should go public with this. And DeWitt repeatedly says, no. I turned the key to my car and boom. Now, who made the recording? Who released it? Those are good questions, but I'm more concerned about what this says about our democracy.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Question, do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hogan Gidley, what happened to the team at America First Policy in the last 24 hours?
They deleted our account. They didn't even take the appeal.
What?
They deleted the account. Didn't say why. didn't say it broke the rules of this, that, or the other.
Oh.
Have you ever noticed how those algorithm problems never hurt liberals? It's always us that get popped by those quote-unquote mistakes.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
Coming Monday.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 News Talk STL. Man, we're used to drama in politics, but we're used to the worst of it coming out of Washington, D.C. But man, I feel like this show has flown by.
Oh my gosh.
With all of that great information from Representative Justin Sparks in the last hour, and then just a moment ago with Dr. Randy Tobler, just really exploring and finally digging into the reasons, what's really happening and what's behind this situation in Jeff City within the Missouri Republican Party.
And I have to say, there's probably people in the audience that disagree with Dr. Tobler, but it's a perfect point to prove that there are relationships that have been built with Cindy, maybe with Caleb Rowden, that bring a different type of understanding to the table. And those are discussions that Dr. Randy Tobler has had in Columbia, but also outside of that, where he has a different perspective. And and if you heard him, he said, almost, I'm a rock in a hard place. I don't know what to do about that. And it was a great interview. I just have to say kudos to Dr. Randy Tobler.
Yeah, and while I am a big fan of the things that are being said by people like Justin Sparks and Senator Nick Schroer, both members of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, there are still two sides to every story, and we're trying very hard to get, some of the leadership on the other side of this issue on the show, and hopefully we can do that. And Dr. Tobler will have Senator Cindy O'Loughlin on his show this Saturday morning, and so I recommend you tune in for that. I know I certainly will be. A couple other stories that I want to touch on before we run out of time today. This one would remind you that the ridiculous political drama has not just shifted to Missouri. It's still happening in Washington, D.C. Today, Karine Jean-Pierre took a victory lap touting Joe Biden's putting equity at the center of his economic approach has been the reason for success. This is absolutely ridiculous. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre insisted today that American consumers are feeling better about the economy because President Biden has put equity at the center. She was being interviewed on CNN, and there's a new report out that shows that people are feeling better about the economy, which is also very, look, when you're as low as you can possibly be, there's nowhere to go but up. So people feeling a little better about the economy does not mean that they are happy with the economy. And this idea, look, the equity, identity politics, that the economy, that's not related to the economy.
No, it isn't.
It's not. You can't shove racism into every issue when it doesn't have any business in. But they get a positive report and they try to spin it with some ridiculous statement like putting identity at the center of the economic issue is why we're having some success.
You know, I saw a report from, I believe it was an ABC anchor, maybe CBS anchor, that was working the ground floor, and he was speaking with some of his colleagues. Basically, it's CBS news anchor. He was on the floor talking about different things with different people, kind of doing a man on the street type of gig. And after he was done interviewing some folks at a grocery store, they were telling him, at least from his account, how dramatically different and how sad they are about this economy. And even though, in his recollection of these accounts, he said that these people are like, okay, maybe I have a couple of dollars more in my bank account. Okay, maybe I can pay off my car finally. But the truth of the matter is I'm sitting here talking to you at the grocery store and meat high, milk high, eggs high, baby food high. Everything at the grocery store is outrageously high. Mm-hmm. And therefore, the few extra dollars maybe that I made this year are all going to my groceries. Yeah. And the grocery bill is $200 instead of $100. And the CBS anchor was blown away at these interviews that he was culminating throughout the day with these normal people. He couldn't believe that people were saying, yeah, economy.
They're not happy.
We're still sad about the economy. Yeah. We're still sad about where we are today.
Isn't it so funny when the elite media or politicians talk to real people and they're shocked that they're not okay with the government running their life? What do you mean you're not okay with the government being involved in your school districts? And what do you mean you're not okay with the policy at the They talk to real people and they just can't understand why anybody is disagreeing with them. It happens all the time, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of that this year. We might get into this story a little bit tomorrow because it's one of those things. We just ran out of time today, but a headline caught my eye today. Ring doorbells are changing their policy. Ring is owned by Amazon, by the way, if that matters for anybody. They're changing their policy, and they will now no longer allow police departments to request doorbell camera footage from users.
Why?
Citing privacy concerns. So, yeah.
So,
in a blog post last night, Ring said it will sunset the request for assistance tool, which allows police departments and other public safety agencies to request and receive video captured by the doorbell cameras through Ring's Neighbors app. There's more details here, but now the only way that a police department could get that information is with a warrant. And
to get the video,
I'm a
from
big
Ring?
privacy. The biggest stay out of my business privacy advocate there could possibly be. But I mean, I guess unless your cameras are in your house, I could see the in-house cameras.
Oh yeah, totally can see that.
But why, if there was a crime committed across the street,
I want to give them the footage so they can find the person.
It could be captured on your Ring doorbell camera, and the police could say, "Hey, can we see that footage?" It's interesting. It just, again, there's a bit deeper conversation here that we don't have time for, but it stood out to me as why would you not want, what's the benefit to keeping that information away from?
We've seen so much footage captured of people, home intruders, possible kidnappings, kids going up to Ring doorbells saying, I missed the bus, or someone dropped me off at the wrong place. It has been nothing but beneficial for law enforcement to have those kinds of cameras to help
or just
find
something
the
as simple as a car that drove by.
Totally.
At a certain time, and they're able to line it up with that was this car, and we could prove that this person was not where they went. It has nothing to do with your privacy or your...
No, but inside the house, I totally understand.
And that, for sure. And absolutely for sure. But interesting that this is happening now.
Yeah.
That Ring is changing their policy as of now, and they didn't provide the reason. They just said for privacy concerns, and have not elaborated on what that means in any way. Anyways, thought it was a super interesting development and something that I will continue to keep an eye on. All right, that's going to do it for us this afternoon. Colombo and Katie back tomorrow at 2. In the meantime, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast. Today's show is a big reason why. Great stuff from Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks and from Dr. Randy Tobler today. Subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss anything that happens here on the show. And keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next, followed by the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show at 4, then Larry Connors USA at 6. Thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fence Works. STL Fence Works is proud and excited to install American